Hey guys, it's Charlie. First of all, I'm really sorry that this video is so late. I will explain in a moment when I'm out of the living room, but I need the computer to tell you guys the questions. But this week's topic is on spell effectiveness. So the topics are from Hades1347. I was wondering if you find that spells work better if you speak to your chosen god and goddess in the language of the culture they came from. Tori41494. I was wondering if one has a candle scented of an herb, can that candle replace the herb in a spell or ritual, or is it the actual plant that gives the herb its power? So we'll go ahead and answer those two questions. I forgot to mention that I'm your Thursday sub on the Pagan Perspective, and it's subs week, and so I'll go ahead and answer the questions. I haven't gotten a chance to watch any of the other videos, but I'm sure that they're awesome, and I'm going to be watching them, but I've been working like 12 and 13-hour days, so that's why this video is up late. But I do think that this is an awesome topic, and I'm excited to do it, but I'm thinking that my answers may differ from others, or some of you may not agree with the answers that I give. So as for the first part of the question, whether or not we speak to whatever god or goddess we are working with, we speak to them and recite the spell in their native language. I've actually never tried that. It never crossed my mind to even do so, so that was very interesting to me. It might be something that I try in the future. I do title a lot of my spells Latin names because I feel like the history and the magic and the power is just so rooted in Latin. It's such an old language. And I just feel it has a lot of power to it. So I know I've stated that in another video, and I do title a lot of my spells. I title them in English, and then I find the Latin translation for them. As far as actually doing a spell or reciting something out loud in a foreign language, I have not, except for once, but it wasn't really a spell. I didn't even know what the words meant, but my two friends and I were kind of doing this little ritual together, and from my friend's Book of Shadows there was this, it was like a spell or incantation or whatever you want to call it, and we were reciting it, and we were reciting it all together at the same time, and the energy was just so high in that circle, and it was an awesome experience. And I didn't know what any of the words meant, but a couple days after that I felt like I was just really in tune with everything, and like I was having like I just felt super connected. Later found out, my friend said that all of the Latin words were words that meant like psychic empowerment, and basically the same thing that what happened to me, except we were saying the words in Latin, if I'm making any sense at all. So that was really cool to find out. Okay, so the second part of the question is, say you have a spell and it calls for a specific herb. We'll say lavender. Say you need lavender, and you don't have lavender on hand, but you have a lavender candle on hand. Can you substitute the lavender candle for the lavender? My short answer is yes. Scientifically and property speaking, as far as physical properties go, generally when one makes a candle, especially natural candles, there are going to be some synthetic candles out there that really are going to have nothing to do with the plant at all. But if you have a natural candle, generally part of the plant, the essence most likely, the essential oil of the plant, will be put into that candle to create the scent. So part of those physical properties from the plant will be in the candle. So that is something that you could use to substitute it. But then you can go even deeper and think, okay, I need this specific herb or this specific plant because I'm creating whatever, and it's for protection. I'm doing this spell for protection, and I need to use this kind of herb, but I don't have it. Can I use the candle? One thing that I would say as far as substitutions go is that with herbs, one of the questions you ask is the power housed like within that plant? And the short answer is yes, it is housed within the plant. Different herbs have different medicinal properties. They have different magical properties, and there are specific properties about herbs that you can find in correspondences and books and all of that. However, just because you read it in a book and just because someone else's interpretation of that herb means like, okay, say sage is good for protection, doesn't mean that that's what it is for you. So what your characteristics and attributes and correspondences are for one herb might be completely different from something you read in a book or something you see on YouTube. So really, it doesn't matter what part of the plant, or if it's the plant that has the power or the physical properties. What you need to do is find out what attributes do I need, and what herbs, or what candle colors, or what candle scents, or what stones and crystals, what do I have that represents that attribute to me? Because I'm the one doing the spell, I'm the one that is going to be putting my intent, and my intent is going to be mixing with it. Say you have to do something with sage, and it's for cleansing and protection, but you're like, I don't feel like sage is very cleansing. I don't feel like it. I feel like mint is really cleansing. If you try to do the spell or the cleansing or the ritual with sage, there's not going to be as much effectiveness because you don't feel that connection with that plant, that same attribute connection with the plant. Am I making sense? I'm probably not making sense. It's late. I'm trying to do this really quick, and I'm in a hurry because I want to get this posted so you guys aren't waiting all day for me. But basically, yes, you can definitely, in my opinion, you can substitute for whatever herb you have a candle. You can also visualize it, but if you do want the specific physical properties of plants and specific plants, I would check with like your local pharmacist as far as like medicinal properties go. Check with different manuals, see what you feel called to, but just spend time with, say what you need for a spell. You want to overcome fear. You need to sit down and really think, okay, what is fear to me? What is the opposite of fear? What do I want to achieve? What am I trying to attain? Take that answer right there and figure out, when I think of this concept, what do I think of as far as crystals and herbs and directions and different elements, all of that stuff. That's what those attributes are going to be to you, and that's when your spell is going to be most effective. So it doesn't necessarily have to do with the plant itself unless you're talking about medicinal properties. But even with plants for medicinal purposes, sometimes you'll feel called to use something. Like my little brother had a backache, and I was like, I need to put some rosemary on your back, some rosemary oil. Some people may be like, what the hell were you thinking, rosemary oil? But that's what I felt called to do. I felt called to use rosemary. But for somebody else, it might be completely different. So really, all the answers that you need are going to be found within you. And if you need a little bit of help along the way, you can definitely like ask other people what. So basically, yes, all of the properties, not the medicinal properties, but all of the properties and the attributes of the plant are going to be housed within the plant, but they're also going to be housed within your intent. And you can infuse anything that you want with your own intent and have it work for the purpose that you intend it to work for. I do have to put in a disclaimer that when working for specifically medicinal purposes, anything that you apply to your skin, anything that you ingest, please make sure that you're not called to use something poisonous. So it's always good to have a reference guide on hand to find out what sort of medicinal codes are attached to each herb, because some herbs you can't take if you're pregnant, some you can't take if you're a diabetic, some you can't take at all because you'll die. So at least make sure that you're up with the medical codes. But as far as being able to substitute, as long as your intent is there and you feel that connection with that specific, whether it's an herb or a candle or what have you, you don't have to do. If you're looking at a spell in a book and you're like, wow, I really like the goal of this spell and what it's doing, but I hate working with sage, I think it smells awful, don't use sage, because you're going to be sitting there thinking like, oh, this fucking stinks and I don't like it. I'm sorry for swearing, but you're not going to be paying attention to what you need to be accomplishing in that spell. So instead, choose something that suits your needs. So that's basically my answer for that, and I will talk to all of you soon, and I love you guys. Blessed be.